Syria. We're having a number of meetings today. We'll see what happens. We're obviously looking at that very closely. It's too bad that the world puts us in a position like that. But, you know, as I said this morning, we've done a great job with ISIS. We have just absolutely decimated ISIS. But now we have to make some further decisions. So they'll be made fairly soon.
All right, so the president kind of clarifying again in person, talking to some reporters, what he had tried to retweet and clarify from yesterday when a lot of people said he violated his own practice in the past of presidents telegraphing what they'll do. He tried to clarify in a follow-up tweet that the attack could be very soon or not soon at all, that he was not telegraphing anything on timing. So take a chill pill. He didn't say take a chill pill, but that was the impression. And how would he say that? Take a chill pill? I had no idea. But bottom line, he's just leaving us guessing that a decision will be made soon. Everyone seems to be thinking that that decision, whatever it's going to be, will involve an attack, whether it would be like we had last year when it was targeted at one air base and one presumably used to launch a lot of these chemical attacks, is anyone's guess. That it would have to be either wider, more involve foreign help. The French have already offered to do that. The Germans, as Charles Payne was talking about, offering moral support. Beyond that, I don't know what that could mean, but that they might be a little bit more involved, and hence why it's taking a tad more time. To American Islamic Forum for Democracy founder Zuhdi Jasser. Zuhdi, so glad to have you. Saudi Arabia has oddly indicated that it would like to be a part of this. I don't know in what way, shape, or form, but that would be odd. What do you make of that?
Well, I think, Neil, we have to look back at when actions like this work. It's when you have a broad-based coalition. So as much as the president may have violated his own telegraphing by putting the tweet out, I think it makes sense, and that he's pretty much telling the world, join us, because we are doing something that's going to put tyrants on notice. Today and in the future, genocidal tyrants are looking to see what the West is going to do and will do. And we've come from an era of 8 years of the Obama administration, which at the altar of the Iran deal let evil and despotism and genocide thrive in Syria. You had videos of an Iranian general in Syria basically laughing and smiling about an upcoming chemical attack. So they know they can get away with this. It needs to be more than a symbolic attack.
I know it's easy, and I'd want to avoid playing politics to this. One could be just as cynical about President Trump indicating that he wanted out of Syria, that might have set the stage for this. But I don't want to go on the left and right thing. I do want to get your take on what he would have to do, because would it have to be more than just a one-off here, as it was last year, in the hope that by bombing an air base from which a lot of these attacks were launched in the first place, that would stop Assad, and that the Russians, who had promised earlier that they would shut down its chemical war-making capability, and obviously have not, that they would be diligent in that way. In both cases, that attack wasn't enough, and the Russians didn't do enough. So this has got to be a little more substantive, right?
Neil, that is a very pertinent question, because last year's symbolic attack actually may have stimulated more, because they said, you know what, it did nothing. It was just an empty field that they bombed. So now we need to have a crippling attack, and that's why coalitions that include not only Britain and France, but Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and other countries that would want to put a firewall against any threats that the Assad regime would have, or Hezbollah or Iran, as they build missiles and use chemical weapons 40 miles from the Israeli border. This needs to be a crippling attack. And by the way, Neil, it's not rocket science. We just need to use the Balkans template from the 90s, where you had UN protection forces supported by a no-fly zone that were on the ground, and ultimately you had bombing operations that decimated the Serbian Air Force and military and ultimately ended that conflict. We can do the same thing today. We did it in the 90s with President Clinton without Russian approval. They were against it, and today we can do it again without Russian approval and move forward with a broad-based coalition to begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this tyranny that's destroying Syria.
Zuhdi, thank you very, very much. Always good seeing you, my friend. Thanks.
Anytime.